I came into the quilting world as an artist. I love everything studio art. And I thought, how hard can this be? I work with color. I understand composition. I have an eye for this stuff. Y'all, I had no idea what I was walking into. Hey Star Stitchers, I'm Kristen with ICStarsQuilting.com. Welcome back to my channel. This is a judgment-free zone and we are going to have some fun today, okay? By the end of this video, you're going to have 5 specific things that you can start doing right now that will make your quilting cleaner, more accurate, and honestly, just a whole lot more fun. Some of them are technical. Some of the advice today is a little bit more of a mindset shift. All of them are things that I had to learn the hard way, and now I'm sharing them with you so you don't have to. Let's get into it. Tip number 1, and I'm starting here because this is a tip that humbled me the most, okay? In quilting, almost every single pattern that you will ever use is written for a 1/4 inch seam. I'm not a math person. I chose this life specifically so that I would not have to do the advanced mathematics, okay? So when someone first explained the 1/4 inch seam to me, I kind of nodded, smiled, and thought, okay, sure, cool. Roughly a 1/4 of an inch, got it. I'm on it. No, not roughly. Exactly, or as close to exactly as you can get it. Here's what I didn't understand yet. In other creative work that I had done, being a little bit off didn't matter. Happy little accidents, right? But quilting is different because all of those little pieces of fabric have to fit together. And if each one is slightly off, by the time that you have sewn the whole block together or a whole quilt top, those tiny differences have stacked up into something that you can really, really see and feel. Early on, my seams weren't matching up and I couldn't figure out why. I thought I was doing something wrong at the machine. I thought my fabric was the problem, of course, okay? It took me way longer than I would like to admit to realize it was a seam allowance. And once I figured it out, everything started clicking and I was so much more proud of the work that I was creating. So here's what I want you to do. Get yourself a 1/4 inch presser foot for your machine, okay? A lot of machines that come with multiple feet will have one of these ahead of time, okay? If you don't have one, you can look on Amazon usually and find like a generic one that may fit your machine, okay? Before you cut into any of your precious fabric that you love, take some scrap fabric and sew a test seam on the scrap piece first and then actually measure it, okay? Make sure that you are hitting that 1/4 of an inch because sometimes even with the right foot, you may need to adjust your needle just a hair. And for a while I was sewing with the side of my foot as my guideline, right? Sew a straight seam, use the side of my sewing foot as the guideline. And it was just a hair over a 1/4 of an inch. So I had to adjust, all right? You don't have to make this hard. You just need to be consistent. And can we agree that consistent beats perfect every single time? Tip number 2, and this one is going to sound so small, but I promise you it matters way more than it seems like it should. Press your seams. Don't iron them. I know, those words sound identical, but they are not. When you iron, you're sliding the iron back and forth across the fabric, which is fine for getting the wrinkles out of a shirt or pants. But on small quilting pieces, that sliding motion can actually stretch the fabric just enough to throw everything off. Pressing is different. You're actually lifting the iron and setting it down, lifting it up and setting it down in a different spot, up and down, not side to side. And here's the part that took me a while to be consistent about. You do this after every seam, not at the end of the block, after every seam. I know it feels like extra steps. I know it slows you down, but pressing as you go is what makes your blocks crisp and flat. It's what makes everything actually line up. So when you go to sew the blocks together, that is the difference between a quilt top that lays flat and beautifully and one that's doing this kind of weird bubbly ripple thing and you don't know why. So here is your official permission slip. You are allowed to take your time at the ironing board, okay? This is not you being slow. This is you doing it right. And I often like to have my sewing machine in front of me, and then I have a smaller table next to me. So when I'm sewing, and then I have my chair that turns, right? And then I can go over and I can press right here next to me, and then I can sew another seam, and then I can press right next to me. That way you're not feeling like musical chairs, like up and down the entire time that you're working on a project, okay? And that's just one of those little things that really helped make a big difference in the long run for me. Tip number 3, and this one is less about technique and more about how you set yourself up from the very beginning. Start small. Now, I have to be careful how I say this because I know how it sounds. You've got this big, beautiful quilt in your head. It's big, it's cozy. You may have even like jumped, both feet in and been like, I'm gonna make a king size quilt, all right? I get it. I really, really do. But here's one of the things that I know that drives quilters absolutely crazy. You dive into a huge project before you've really gotten your footing in the quilting world, and somewhere in the middle of this project, you hit a wall. The quilt is heavy and bulky and it's not quite turning out the way that you wanted it to. It's hard to manage under the machine. The blocks aren't matching up. You've been working on it for months and you can't see the finish line. And that project that was supposed to bring you joy ends up in a bag in the corner of your room in a timeout spot until you can deal with it again, okay? We all have that bag. Can we just let that be a known secret? Okay, we all have that bag. Some of us have several of those timeout bags, okay? There's no judgment whatsoever. But here is what I want for you instead. Start with a table runner. Start with a mini quilt, a wall quilt, a mug rug, something that you can actually finish, okay? Because finishing something, even if it's small, it does something for your confidence that nothing else can replicate. You have an idea and then you made that idea real. You can hold it in your hands, and that's not a small thing. So then you take that confidence from that little project and you take it right into the next project, which can be bigger. And then the one after that is bigger still, okay? You build it up. Here's why this one is personal for me, okay? I came to quilting because I needed a creative outlet that I could actually put down and walk away from. Before I was quilting, studio arts. I was a painter. I love, love, love to do anything that gets my hands just like in the middle of all of the messiness of art, okay? And I had projects everywhere in my house. I had wet canvases, I had open paint containers, the whole thing. And I had toddlers. And if you've had toddlers, you know, you can't leave anything out in the open. They are, and I say this with so much love in my heart, they are absolute chaos tornadoes. So quilting found me because it fit my life and I could work on it, I could fold it up, I could put it in a basket, and I could walk away when somebody needed a snack or a hug or, everything in the world is on fire, okay? My kids are teenagers now, which, side note, is an entirely different kind of chaos, honestly. But back then, I was working in 20-minute windows, sometimes 5 or 10 minutes if I was lucky, okay? Small projects didn't just make sense. They were the only thing that I could actually finish. And finishing things builds momentum in a way that nothing else does. And that is still true for me today when I'm in a really, really busy season and I still want to create. All right, tip number 4. I used to dread the seam ripper, like genuinely dread it, because in my art background, mistakes are fine. You paint over them. You incorporate them. Sometimes it improves the piece, right? You let them become part of the piece. There's this whole philosophy around happy accidents in art, but in quilting, you can't always just sail past it. You can't paint over it. If a seam is wrong, it's wrong. And it affects everything that comes after it. The seam ripper and I had to come to an understanding, all right? For a while, every time I reached for it, I felt like I had failed. Like it meant that I was really bad at this. I tell you, that mindset cost me so much unnecessary frustration. I've mentioned this before, but I quilt because it brings me joy. I don't quilt because I need more stresses in my life, right? I quilt because it brings me joy. And here's what I know for sure, okay? Every single quilter, beginner, intermediate, advanced, the ones who have been doing this for 40 years, they all have to use a seam ripper all the time. It's not a sign that you are bad at quilting. It's a sign that you care about the outcome of your quilt. The seam ripper, it's just a tool. It does not have like an alternate personality, okay? Us quilters, we love to find something to hate on, something to blame it on, something to take that frustration out on, okay? Using a seam ripper is not a punishment. Think of it less like an eraser, which feels admitting to a mistake, and more like a paintbrush, okay? It's just a part of your toolkit. You reach for it when you need it, without drama, and you move on. There's no shame in having to use it. I mean, I use it on every single project, all right? So the next time you have to use it, and you will, we all do, I want you to say to yourself, I'm fixing this. And that's a good thing, because it is. Whatever you want to do is the right answer. And sometimes the right answer is to rip it out and try it again, okay? It's not a failure. It's just quilting. Last one is tip number 5. And listen, as an artist, I thought I had a great eye. I thought I could eyeball things. I mean, I've been doing it in my art for years, okay? Quilting taught me very quickly that my eyes are not as accurate as I believed. So this tip is to use your tools, all of them, together. Every single time. Your cutting mat, your acrylic ruler, and your rotary cutter. Those are your team members. In other arts that I'd worked in, you could like adjust and adapt, and it would work out intuitively wonderful, okay? But quilting is more like architecture than it is painting. If your pieces aren't the right size, when you cut them from the beginning, nothing downstream is going to be able to fix that. If it starts off, it's going to come out off. So get a good ruler, line it up with your fabric, press your fingertips firmly on top of it so it doesn't shift, and cut in one smooth, confident stroke with your rotary cutter. And here's a tip within this tip. If your rotary cutter feels like it's dragging or tearing instead of gliding, or it's skipping little pieces of thread, it's dull. It's time to change it. And I'm really stubborn about this, okay? But a fresh blade is one of those things that feels almost ridiculous how much easier it is after you cut it, because you've struggled and you've thought, I don't want to change the blade right now. I'll just get through these last couple cuts. And I'm guilty of that entirely, okay? So change your blade when things get difficult. Why make it harder on yourself? I think sometimes beginners, especially when people who come from other creative backgrounds like I did, resist the precision of quilting a little bit, because creativity is supposed to feel like wild and free, right? And all of those rules feel like the opposite of that. And I don't want to be boxed in as a creator. I don't want to have to follow all of these rules. But here's what I've learned. The precision is actually what sets you free. When your pieces are cut right and your seams are right and you have the right tools to do what you want to do, everything just works. And when everything works, you actually get the freedom to play. You can make the quilt in your head become the quilt in your hands, and like you can actually hold it, that idea. And that's when quilting becomes the art form that it actually is. Real quick, if you are not subscribed to my channel yet and you want more videos like this one, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the like button too, please. I put out new content every single week, and my whole goal is to make quilting feel easier and more fun every single time. And if you're looking for a community of quilters who get it, they get all of the weird questions that you have, the late night sewing sessions, all of it, okay? I have a membership group called the Stitch Sister Inner Circle, and it's such a good, sweet group. I will leave a link down in the description box if you want to check that out, okay? Let's recap 5 tips. Number 1, the 1/4 inch seam allowance is a real rule. Get the right foot, test it out, measure it, and be consistent. Number 2, press your seams, do not iron them. Up and down, not side to side. Every single seam, every single time. Number 3, start small. Finish something, okay? Feel that win, and then build on it from there. Number 4, make peace with your seam ripper. It's not a sign of failure, it's just a tool. Use it without the failure drama. And number 5 is to trust your tools over your eye. Cut accurately from the start and everything else gets so much easier. That's it. 5 things. I came to quilting as an artist who thought the rules didn't apply to her. I know. Okay, I learned the fun way and the frustrating way that in quilting, the rules are actually your friends. They are what make creativity possible, and they help you along the way, okay? So if I can figure that out, I promise that you can figure it out too. But I want to hear from you. Which one of these tips resonates most with you? Or is there something that you wish someone had told you earlier in your quilting journey? Let me know down in the comments. I read every single one and I genuinely love hearing from you. If this video was helpful, would you please give it a thumbs up? It helps this channel reach more quilters who need it. I'm Kristen with ICStarsQuilting.com. I hope that you have a great rest of your week. Go out there, create some beautiful things to put into this world, and I will talk to you next week. Have a great day. Bye.